Cheer. You guys are now listening to the Crime Pays podcast. I'm your host, Mr. Sanchez. I got my co-host with me, Young Glizzy.
Yeah.
How you guys doing, man? I want to give a big shout out to all the new viewers, the new fans, the new supporters. Click the like, leave a comment, hit the subscribe button. On today's show, we're going to go over some things. We got Trump's impeachment that failed today. We got the whole Trump, Iran, Israel debacle. We're going to get through that. Some sleeper cells possibly inside the United States. Got to be vigilant about that. John Jones retires. Khalil Rountree versus Jamal Hill. Fat Joe getting sued for $20 million by ex-employee. Ashton Hall gets run down and chased out of England. And Charleston White versus the Island Boys. Let's get into it. What's up, Glizzy? How was your week, man?
My week was good, bro. It's been good, dude. I've been gymming. I've been getting closer with God. Yeah. I just broke my fast right now. I didn't do my fast for religious reasons this time. I just did it for like health reasons. I felt bloated.
And how was that? What was that? Like, how many days did you do?
I did almost 2, bro. I just broke it right now. 40? So I did like yesterday, Monday at 12 a.m. I started the fast while I was at work. So from 12 all the way to now, like 36 hours maybe.
All right, that's what's up, man. Yeah. I can't do it, man. I work out too hard, and I need all the protein.
Bro, I know a guy that does it for like 3 days at a time, and he does it for real. Like, I was like, yo, I can't do no 3 days.
Yeah.
Like, I could do 2. I think I could do 2 days without no problem.
All right, that's good. I've been doing good. I've been in the gym. I've been working on my physical and my mental health. You know what I mean? I got into some ancient teachings, Hermetic teachings. From Hermes, and it basically tells you, like, you know, you're the archetype of your reality, the architect of your reality, and as you think things, you can make them happen, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, everything is your fault, you know, basically, and you know, a conscious thought plus action equals you're completing your goal. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, you know, I've been doing a lot of meditating. It's not the first time I get into it. I got into it like 5 years ago, and it's been helping me out, man. I've had a lot of clarity this week. I got some bad news, but I just let it, you know, ride out of my shoulder. And, yeah, man, I also got into some Taoism, which is like an ancient philosopher from, I believe, China. Basically teaches you to just relax and let things be as they come, you know, flow like water, like Bruce Lee says, be like water, you know. Water is a fluid thing. It moves around. It doesn't stay stagnant. And if there's a boulder in the water crashes against the boulder and it goes around it. And with time, it molds the boulder. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's how I got to be. I put it to the test a couple of times. I failed. You know what I mean? Because...
What,
yeah.
So it's like blaming yourself for everything?
No, but it's like...
Taking accountability
and, you know, getting more in line with your thoughts. And your life is the way it is because of your thoughts. Your thoughts control your reality. So you have to have positive thoughts, set goals, take action, pray about it, and it will come to fruition.
That's interesting.
Yeah, so if you want to be a more peaceful person, you know, you should get into it. If you want to have more clarity about your life around you and why things are the way they are, you know, look into yourself, look into your mind, and it'll teach you. You know what I mean? And I've had a lot of peace this week, bro. It's been good. Guys, get into it. Hermetic teachings and Taoism.
I always have peace, bro. I just stay in this house, dude. It's like I sit here, I edit videos, I go to work, I come home, I go to sleep.
Yeah, you know, but you've had a good life, man. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm impressed with your mindset and how cool you are. You know?
Dude, I appreciate it, dude. I think I'm cool sometimes.
Yeah, dude, you know? I grew up a violent child. You know what I'm saying?
I'm super
I made a lot of mistakes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I got to learn to forgive myself for those kind of things. And, you know, when these problems come crashing into me, I need to learn how to maneuver better than just being explosive. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've always taken accountability. I mean, no, not till recently. You know who taught me that lesson? Andrew Tate.
Yeah, for sure.
Taught me everything's my fault. So like I like to live by that mindset. Now, given there's some things in life that happen that I just can't control, and I just let God guide me the way He's gonna guide me.
Yeah, facts. You know, Christ is king. None of these
is a fact.
None of these philosophies or teachings overrides Christ and His teachings. You know what I mean? But you know, you can't fall into the victim of, you know, Christ is going to take care of everything. I'm just going to be a loser, and Christ is going to give me everything I want. Now, you know, we have to be a little more hands-on in our day-to-day, you know, how we move, how we act. The things we say are very powerful, you know?
Yeah.
That's why, you know, you can't play around and be like, oh, I'm a loser, or, oh, I'm crazy, or, you know, just talk bad things out of your mouth, because those words have power, and they go into your, like, subconscious, and they will affect you. You know what I mean? They'll affect the way you see yourself, the way you see other people, the way you see things, the way other people see you. You know, if you mess around and you tell people, yeah, I'm crazy, bro.
Yeah, you're going to be crazy.
People are going to be like, yo, that dude's crazy. He told me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, you know, just striving to overcome negative energy that is around me, because I'm surrounded by negative energy. It's not anything. It's just Miami and my environment. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Also overcome the negative energy that's in my heart, right? That is number one. So that's what I'm doing. I'm just striving to become a better man, be strong physically, which I'm there. You know, I'm in shape.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah.
You're in good shape.
I am, dude. I am. It took about a year of hard work. Consistency is key. You know, the gains come slow, but if you stick to it, you'll get results, bro. You know what I mean? And now I'm just working on my brain, dude.
Yeah.
And I'm working on that. Next year, I'm going to be a powerful mofo.
Yeah. You know, when you go to the gym, for some reason, like when you start going to the gym, you feel clarity. And, you know I know I don't look like I go to the gym often, but I fall off and get back on. And every time I start the gym back up, there's like a mental clarity you get while you're there. And then when you leave, you just feel like you did something, like you earned your meal. You get me?
Yeah, absolutely, man. Especially like running. Running will do that to you because it's so hard.
I never did running.
Try it out, bro. It'll get you closer. It'll get you closer to God. It'll get you closer to yourself, because when you do, you know, going to the gym is intense, but it's as intense as you make it. A lot of people go to the gym and they don't do maximum intensity. Yeah. But when you're running, that's maximum intensity. Even if you're jogging, within a couple minutes, your heart is going to be pumping, your body's going to be pumping, you're going to be sweating, and you're going to want to stop. And then you're going to tell yourself, I'm not going to stop no matter what. And then you keep on going, and then your ribs start hurting, and then you're like, I'm going to stop. And then you go, I'm not going to stop. And then you start looking at the sky, you know. I like running outside, running on a treadmill.
Yeah, it's not the same. I think working out outside is better than working out in a gym.
Yeah.
Now,
sure.
I work out in a gym. I don't do it outside.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, I would assume getting all that vitamin D while you're working out.
Yeah, for sure.
And then the terrain is different than running on a treadmill. Mr. Beast dropped a video about a man that he locked away for 100 days, and he made him lose 100 pounds.
Yeah, there you go.
And he did it in less time. It was crazy. It was a cool video.
Yeah, hell yeah. That's what's up, man. Shout out to that guy. All right, moving on to the topics. The Dems fail in their impeachment process. AOC put out, papers to get Trump impeached. That got shut down bipartisanly by both Republicans and Democrats for the bombing of Iran. They said he overrode Congress. He didn't get permission to do it. He did it, and they failed doing that. Democrats live in a circle of L's.
Yeah, right now, huh?
Yeah. They suck. You know what I mean?
Dude.
And they're they suck, bro.
You know what makes me mad? Their media, dude.
Yeah.
The all negative publicity on Trump, dude. Like, yo, dude, can you guys say at least the good things he did? Like, okay, bro. Tell me the bad, but tell me the good too.
Yeah,
you know, don't just pick and choose what you want to show me.
For sure. And then they support everybody but us. You know?
Yeah.
It's like you got a Ukrainian flag, then you got a Palestinian flag. Now they're going to have Iranian flags hanging outside their houses. Like, yo, give me a break, dude. How about you guys root for your country instead of rooting against it because you hate Trump so much that you're, like, anti-American? You know what I mean?
Dude.
He stopped Iranians from having nuclear weapons that they were making, bro.
Allegedly.
Everybody knows that those people cannot have nuclear weapons because
that's a fact.
The majority of them are great people, but the radicals in that society, in that country, scream death to America. They scream death to Israel. They will blow it. They will use it if they have it. You know what I mean? They don't care about them dying. They say Allah is first, and they will suicide themselves or unalive themselves for what they believe is the greater good. So that, I mean, they're a danger to everybody.
Yeah. And I had a conversation with one of the guys at work, and we were talking about it. I was like, yo, what if they start drafting us? Mm-hmm. And he goes, nah, bro, they're not going to draft me. I'm lactose intolerant. I was like, yo, they're going to draft you, dude. So then he's like, nah, I'll go back to my country. I'll go back to Amsterdam. Yeah. And I told him, I was like, yo, Amsterdam don't got no nukes. Yeah. Russia has 5,400 nukes. America got 5,000 nukes, you know, and these are what we know of. Yeah. Japan, -2. Yeah. But you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, well, that's what's going on. And then we got the whole Trump, Iran, Israel debacle that happened this week. Yeah. Where, you know, Trump tried to use diplomacy to get the Iranians to control their nuclear capabilities, and they weren't with it. They said that was the red line in the sand. They need to have nuclear power. And, you know, while he was doing the talks, Bibi Netanyahu went over Trump's head and he started bombing Iran, bro. And then Trump sends the B-52 bunker busters over there. Yo, the B-52 plane is crazy. Did you see that thing? It's a stealth bomber.
Yeah, I saw it, dude.
Yeah, that's a modern marvel of technology. Right there. If you think a Tesla's cool, like look into how cool those things are.
Yeah, I saw a post on Instagram that says, fucking Iran's about to find out why Americans don't have free healthcare.
yeah, that's a good one. But yeah, man, basically those bombs they get dropped on the ground and then they drill into the ground and they go down all the way down to where the bunker was at, and they blew that thing to the high heavens, bro. You know what I mean? But it's a scary time, bro. You know, it's biblical.
It is, dude.
Iran is modern day Persia. Persia has got, you know, a lot of info in the Bible and what they're going to do with Israel. So it's like, are we in the end times? Kind of sounds like that. Kind of feels like that.
Bro, you know, it really upsets me, really, the whole thing. And I'm confused I'm not confused as to the situation. I know what's going on. I'm just confused on how to feel about it. Because at first, like, just yesterday, I felt like, I was like, oh, this thing seems orchestrated because, all right, we bombed them with the bunker buster, or I don't know what the word is, but the B-2 plane goes over there, drops a bomb, blows up their shit, right? Then I see a video that they actually moved all their shit, right? Then they tell us, they're like, yo, they give us a 12-hour heads up, then bomb our little base in Qatar, right? Yeah. And no one was injured. And, you know, and thank God, you know, and, but it just seems like
too
orchestrated.
Yeah. I mean, Iran had to retaliate against the U.S. for what happened. So they did a political move where they told them, hey, we're going to bomb the bases in Qatar, and none of the bombs hit. Right. So that's basically a show of force without no damage. So that's kind of like a step in good faith from Iran, you know what I mean? So then Trump makes a deal, a ceasefire between Iran and Israel, and within 48 hours, Israel breaks the ceasefire and they bomb the hell out of them.
Yeah, so, and what's up with Israel, dude?
I know.
I say we do what you said. Just cut their funding and then just let them fight, dude. Yeah, you know what? You're on your own now, dude. Yeah. Figure that shit out.
Yeah, because you're not listening to us, and you're allegedly our number one ally, you know. And I'm not anti-Israel or anti-Jewish people. I'm just saying, like, you know, if we're working as a team, and I tell you, yo, I understand your concerns with your enemy having nuclear power. Okay, I'll help you with that. But after that, it's dead. Is it dead? Yes, it's dead. Okay, Iran, is it dead? Yeah, it's dead. Let's get peace. And then you go and you override me. So it's like a lack of respect. You know, a lack of humanity.
And we helped them when they started that shit.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
You know what I mean? All right, Iran can't have nuclear. Well, Tulsi Gabbard said there wasn't no nuclear things there. Yeah. It's like it's a confusing situation, dude. Yeah, like you could get frustrated.
Yeah, and you're making us look bad.
Yeah, dude.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And now I'm over here praising Trump, and then next thing you know, they decide to bomb him, throw a bunch of missiles, It's like, yo.
Yeah, and then Trump comes out and says, okay, we got a ceasefire. Everybody agreed. We got peace. And then within 48 hours, it's like, F you.
Yeah,
if it's
dude.
F us, then it should be F you too then.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because we got to have respect out here. Our word got to mean something. So, I mean, it's an ugly situation, but you got to pray about it because, you know, World War III, nobody wants that. Nobody wants to get into another war. We're trying to get out of the mess that we're in. You know?
I think Trump's going to back out of it and then let him be. Why? What do you think? What is your prediction?
I hope that's what he does, but, you know.
What's your prediction? My
prediction is Trump's going to say that he's not going to help them, but he has to help them.
Yeah.
You're right. Unfortunately. That's what it is. All right, moving on. They got allegedly sleeper cells. Iran says they got sleeper cells, or some people say there's possibly sleeper cells in the United States already ready to go to do horrible acts on our soil. You know, 20 million people came into the country, a lot of them military-aged men, a lot of them from Islamic countries, a lot of them from China and stuff like that. So, you know, you got to be vigilant out here. Leaving the house unprotected is a no-go right now. If you live in a free state, I suggest, you know, you stay with that thing on you and you keep your head on a swivel when you're going out. You know, whether that be when you're going to church, if you're going to the supermarket, you know, if you're going to an event, you know, don't
be vigilant.
Yeah, don't stop living your life normal, but, you know, just know that
this is my normal.
Things are hot out here. You know what I mean?
That's a fact.
All right, moving on to some UFC talk. We got John Jones. John Jones retires, bro.
The best fighter of all time.
Dude. Yeah, dude. And he's facing new charges now. For allegedly he was driving a car and there was an accident and he got out and ran. You know what I mean? That's not the first time I've heard of John Jones doing that.
It's very possible.
You know, he likes to party, and you know, what are you gonna do? But looks like Tom Aspinall retired him without even fighting, without even having to fight him.
That sucks. I kind of wanted to see that fight too.
Yeah, you know, Aspinall's the man, dude.
Yeah.
He's a heavyweight that moves like a lightweight. You know what I mean? But, yeah, dude. That's what it is. That's what it is. Did you watch the UFC this weekend?
I did not get to watch the UFC this weekend.
Khalil Rountree versus Jamal Hill. And Rountree won in a technical he showed out his technical skills, chopped the dude down with crazy leg kicks. You know, it was good to see Khalil Rountree come back after the harsh beating he took against Pereira. You know, he got his eye busted up. He was a bloody mess, and, you know, he still got it. Jamal Hill, you know, pops a lot of stuff, talks a lot of trash, but, you know, that's the fight business. You got to talk trash. But what I don't like about Jamal Hill is that he said he's a sore loser, you know? I could identify with that. I'm a sore loser, but if you beat me in something, I have no problem going up to you and going, yeah, man, that was great. You know, like, you're better than me. Like, that was a good thing.
Yeah.
Inside, I'm hurt because I lost, you know, but I have the humility to go up to my opponent and being like, yo, that was dope.
Good fight.
Good fight, bro. You know, I'll come back stronger. He should show that humility in defeat the same way he gets crazy when he wins.
It's more respectable.
Yeah, for sure. All right, moving on. Oklahoma City Thunder won the NBA Finals. Did you watch it?
I did not.
I watched Game 7, bro.
Oh, I did watch it.
Yeah.
I did watch it. I watched Game 7.
They beat the Pacers, you know.
At least they made it to Game 7.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean,
they put up a good fight. The Pacers put up a good fight. Their star player tore his Achilles in the first quarter.
Yeah.
Halliburton, that guy's great, man. That guy's great, but they couldn't win without him. But he took that team to the finals, man. I'm surprised Oklahoma was able to win because they only got really one star player. Before they had Kevin Durant, Westbrook, and they had Harden, and they couldn't win. And those three guys are like legendary. So, you know, they pulled it off with a lot of good role players and a couple stars. But also, you know, the Thunder had to play against better teams, bro. You know, they had to play against the Heat. LeBron, Wade, Bosh. So, but, you know, shout out to the Oklahoma City Thunder fans. You guys won a title. Look forward to see what happens on the offseason. Moving on to some music news, bro. Fat Joe getting sued for $20 million by his ex-hype man. Hype man allegedly claims he watched Joe sleep with a minor and said he needs $20 million. What a loser, bro.
The disrespect, bro.
What a loser. Yo, it's just it's the curse of having a podcast, a successful podcast.
That's a fact.
You know, Fat Joe, you know, he's had a great career. He's had a lot of great hit songs, and he had a big team with him when he was younger, like a big entourage, you know, Terror Squad. And now, you know, people are looking for money. They see what's going on with Diddy, and they say, okay, I worked for him. I could sue him. Let's see what happens.
Dude,
you know what I mean?
It's a shame, dude. It should be a crime to do things like that.
Yeah.
Like people that put out false allegations. Well, we don't know if they're false, but allegedly, right?
Yeah. I don't believe it for a second.
I don't believe it.
I don't believe it.
I don't believe it. But if it turns out to be true, then fuck them.
Yeah, you know, Fat Joe has no smut on his jacket when it comes to those kind of allegations.
Yeah, he's suing him. He's suing his hype man back for defamation of character.
Yeah, and
rightfully so.
How ungrateful people are. You know what I mean? That's why it sucks. You put people on, you give them an opportunity, you open doors for them, and they're bitter at you for it because you didn't give them more. They deserve what you deserve because you had, you know, Fat Joe had the talent, you didn't. You were just a hype man. I'm sure he took you across the world to shows
for nothing because these people don't need no hype
who would
man.
never look at you twice. You know what I mean? You made connections in the industry that you would have never have made. You know, he passed you the ball and you didn't do nothing with it. So 20 years later, you're going to come up with that? You know? Just, man, you can't.
Disrespectful.
You just can't help some people, man.
Bro, it's better to live your life dolo, dude.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I got my people. You know what I'm saying? You, your dad.
Yeah, but we got a small circle.
Yeah, and I keep it that way. I don't like when people bring in new people because I don't trust people, bro.
Like, I only got one friend. Yeah. It is you, dude. You know what I mean?
I appreciate that, dude. I do. I appreciate that. But, you know, he has a successful podcast now with Jadakiss. I subscribe to it. They talk about a lot of good things, you know, a lot of good music news.
Yeah.
You know, from past and present.
Originally what we were doing.
Yeah. So there was a kid, he went viral because he said that Jim Jones was better than Nas on a separate podcast, right? And I totally understood where the kid was coming from because you got to understand we grew up in a different era, right? I grew up in the 90s and early 2000s. That's when I was really into rap music. That's when I feel the golden era of rap music was. Not the very beginning with all that, you know.
A hip hop.
Yeah, all that Furious 5, you know, shout out to them. They were the pioneers of the current culture. But I feel like my era was the golden era, right? That's when.
And it was the start of gangster rap.
That was when beats were beats and rhymes were rhymes and rappers were intellectual, what they were saying, and it made sense and they were cool. You wanted to be like them. You know what I mean? And that kid doesn't know any of that because he's 21 years old, right? I'll give you a perfect example, right? Glizzy, who are your top 3 favorite rappers of all time?
XXX Tentacion, NBA Youngboy, Fetty Wap.
You see what I'm talking about? Those are the top 3 in his opinion. He's not wrong. It's his opinion. It's what he grew up on. When he was in high school, those were the people that were popping, you know? He totally went over Biggie, Tupac, DMX, Jay-Z, Nas. Like, these are iconic people with iconic catalogs, you know, that influenced all those guys that you're talking about one way or another, you know what I mean? So, yeah, so that kid went viral. Now, Fat Joe and Jadakiss had Jim Jones on their podcast, and he basically said that he was better than Nas, and he went viral for that. Everybody was criticizing Jim Jones about it because, you know, Jim Jones and Nas, I believe Jim Jones might be a little younger than Nas by a couple of years. But Jim Jones said, you know, Nas influenced me. Like, when I was in school, I looked up to Nas, and he influenced me. You know, and then he said, you know, his catalog was good. And I think Jim Jones doesn't get enough credit for what he's doing, right? Because he's like 48 years old, and the kids still listen to him. He's still relevant. You know, and I went back into his catalog and I was listening to it like in the gym, and it's wavy. It's good music, you know what I mean? So I understand him. You know, people were saying it was blasphemous that he said he was better than Nas, but you got to understand that he's a rapper.
I think there's a difference, right? So I could respect people like Biggie, Tupac, but am I listening to their music on my day-to-day life? No. So like usually when I go to my top favorite rappers, I'll go, yo, who am I going to listen to if someone gives me the phone? And those are the people I'm going to pick. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Fetty Wap's a little less now, but,
yeah,
you know, at the time.
But if you ask any boxer who's the best boxer to ever live, they're going to say, I am.
Exactly.
If you ask a rapper who's the nicest rapper that ever lived, he's gonna say me. So you shouldn't hold Jim Jones to the fire for that, because if he would have said other rappers, then he would be downplaying who he is.
Yeah, he's downplaying himself.
Yeah, exactly. So shout out to Jim Jones for saying that. A lot of people got butthurt, but that's what it is, bro. Ashton Hall, you know who Ashton Hall is?
Yes, sir.
He's that influencer who puts his face in the Saratoga water. Big, buff, black guys, having a lot of success on Instagram and on the internet. He's going viral for his day-to-day routines. You guys, if you're in the know, you've probably seen him before.
Saratoga, banana peels.
He raced the streamer Speed, and he lost, I think, right?
Yeah, Speed's fast, dude.
Yeah, Speed is fast. I saw Speed race one of the Olympic gold medalists, bro, and the guy just beat him by like a little bit.
Yeah,
Speed is fast for real. He didn't get that name for no reason.
Yeah.
The guy even had to use a little trick where he like kicked his knee out to get in front of Steve. Like if you watch the tape, the yellow line where you win, the yellow ribbon, they were like neck and neck, and then he put his knee out and put his back, and his knee crossed the line first. So he just won, and that's the fastest guy in the world.
Yeah.
And Speed was right behind him.
Yeah, Speed is fast.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing. But yeah, so he, Ashton Hall went to London, and there was another YouTuber or influencer who was trolling him, right? Making like videos, basically trolling his content, right? Imitating his content. But the guy's fat and stupid. He puts like Vaseline on his face, and he does a bunch of crazy stuff. So that guy found out Ashton Hall was in town, ran down on him with a bunch of goons, started talking all that Allah Akbar talk at him.
Dude, he really was.
Yeah,
dude.
London is a real place, bro. You guys think it's sweet over there. It's not. You get freaking stabbed in there. Allegedly, there was a knife involved. Thank God Ashton Hall didn't get hurt. He did the right thing.
He ran.
He ran for his life. And that's what you're supposed to do when you're somebody pulls a knife on you and you just got success. Defense. And he's not even tough. Like, he doesn't deserve that. Ashton Hall doesn't make that kind of content to bring that kind of energy.
Yeah.
Right?
And he doesn't act tough either.
No, he doesn't. I actually think he's kind of sweet. No homo.
Yeah.
If you ever hear him talk, he talks very feminine. And if you ever see him walking around Miami, he's always with another dude.
He might be of the other side. It's a possibility.
You know what I mean? But I'm glad that he's safe, I'm glad he didn't get hurt. And you guys check the video out. It's all over Instagram. And we're going to end it with Charleston White versus Kodiak Red of the Island Boys. Yeah. And they got into a celebrity boxing match, and it was straight comedy. Yo, shout out to Charleston White, dude. I love that guy.
Yo, he really kicked his ass, dude.
Yeah, he made him quit.
Yeah.
Well,
I wouldn't quit.
I would never quit.
You're going to knock me out, dude, before I quit.
Hell yeah.
Especially if I'm getting paid to put on that sort of performance. No, dude, don't get me wrong. If it's a street fight, dude, you're bigger than me. Like, no, I'm not stupid. But, like, no, I'm getting paid to fight you right now. Like, I ain't quitting, bro. I'm not going down like that.
All the cards were in his deck. Like, he's the younger man by a lot.
Yeah.
Right? He's got more muscle on him than Charleston White.
That's a fact.
He's got 2 eyes.
Yeah, Charleston White has 1 eye.
Charleston White got 1 eye, dude. You know what I mean? And, yeah, man, you could tell Charleston White trained. Yeah. He had a good boxing stance. He used his jab, and he counterpunched with the right hand.
Yeah, dude.
He shook that kid up. He even threw him on the floor one time. Shout out to Unc.
Bro, I want to see the video of him talking shit afterwards, because he did.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what I'm saying?
He was like, yeah. You know I whooped that white boy ass?
I
whooped that white boy ass. Yeah, that's just funny, dude. Charleston White is comedy, bro.
Charleston White.
But he says a lot of truth, too.
Yo, that's what makes comedy the best, when it's true.
Yeah, for sure. He gives you the funny stuff with a little bit of truth,
Yeah.
Yeah, so, shout out to Charleston White. I'm a big fan. But, that's our show, man. We appreciate you guys watching. Glizzy, I appreciate you. Thanks for having me. Thanks for having me in your beautiful studio.
Yeah.
Thanks for all your hard work. Shout out to Glizzy. Check out his channel. It's the Vice City Mafia channel on YouTube also. If you want to see just straight content from Young Glizzy. Yeah, and thanks for watching, guys. Peace. God bless.
Peace. Bow.